Hello everyone. For this week's discussion, I'd like to discuss the Catholic Church's sex abuse scandal. The issue of child sexual abuse by Roman Catholic priests was first publicized in the United States in 1985 when a Louisiana priest pled guilty to 11 counts of molestation of boys. It was brought to national attention when a number of books were published on the topic in the 1990s. And again in 2002, following a series of publications by the Boston Globe. It was once these publications came out in the Boston Globe in January of 2002 that the seriousness of this scandal came to light. Now, according to an article written by Michael Cedrone, many American Catholics were horrified to learn of this scandal and never would have thought that it would happen in their church. Once one allegation came to light, priests and bishops of Catholic churches across the nation stood accused, arrested, and convicted of rape and other forms of sexual misconduct. However, more surprising was the actions of Catholic bishops to keep these crimes secret and to reassign the accused to other parishes in positions where they had continued unsupervised contact with youth. That is, according to the article, what many Catholics had the biggest issue with. In the article, Cedrone also states that the diocese in which these crimes were committed found it necessary to make financial settlements with the victims, but I'll get to that a little later. Now, on June 14, 2002, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops responded to this scandal by approving a charter for the protection of children and young people. The charter addresses the Church's commitment to deal appropriately and effectively with cases of sexual abuse of minors by priests, deacons, and other church personnel. To ensure that each diocese in the United States of America will have procedures in place to respond promptly to all allegations of sexual abuse of minors, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops established the essential norms, which were policies dealing with allegations of sexual abuse of minors by religious priests or deacons. And according to the Essential Norms document, these norms were meant to be complementary to the universal law of the Church, which had traditionally considered the sexual abuse of minors a very serious offense, and punished the offender with penalties, not excluding dismissal from the clerical state if the case warrants that. The document laid out 13 guidelines for dealing with these types of situations. That way, churches across the nation all had these same guidelines to go by in hopes to kind of reduce the media attention on the scandal and show that they were doing something to help it. Now, according to Kathleen Robertson's article, the Vatican refused to approve the first draft of the Essential Norms, claiming that it did not afford accused priests enough due process protections and it was vague in its wording. Therefore, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops met again and devised a revised policy in order to conform with the Vatican's requests. They completed the revised policy in November 2002, and the Vatican approved it on December 16, 2002. The revised policy had greater due process protections for accused priests, but also contained harsher penalties for priests who were found guilty after thorough investigations. The final article I want to discuss is Roland Flamini's article, which discussed if the Catholic Church could recover from the sex abuse scandal. He discussed how the crisis left scars on the church in the United States. He estimates that $2.6 billion were paid out in settlements and legal fees related to this. He also states that settlements forced 6 different dioceses to declare bankruptcy, and others were forced to mortgage properties. Now, in closing, Flamini wrote this article in 2011 and suggested that the topic of sex abuse of priests would remain in the headlines for 5 years. Despite these policies that were put in place through the Essential Norms, I would say that that prediction isn't accurate. Not because it went away, but because even today, there are still stories in the headlines about this topic, and it's 7 years later. Thank you.